My father insisted I give him $167,000 to cover his gambling losses after he abandoned me when I had cancer 6 years ago. Just a quick favor before I continue. Subscribe if you haven't yet and let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from. I might give you a shout out next time. The text came through at 2:47 a.m. on a Tuesday. Kiana, it's Dad. I need to talk to you. It's urgent. Life or death. Life or death. Those words hit different when you've actually faced death and the person texting you wasn't there to hold your hand through it. I stared at my phone screen in my dark bedroom, my heart pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. 6 years. 6 years of absolute silence, and now suddenly it's urgent? I was 23 when the cancer diagnosis came. Stage 3 lymphoma. I remember sitting in that sterile doctor's office, fluorescent lights buzzing overhead, as Dr. Patterson explained my treatment plan. Chemotherapy. Radiation. A 57% survival rate. I'd called my father within an hour, my hands shaking so badly I could barely hold the phone. Dad, I have cancer. I'm scared. I need you. You know what he said? Kiana, baby, I'm dealing with some things right now. This isn't a good time. I'll call you back. He never called back. Not during the 6 rounds of chemo that left me vomiting for hours. Not when my hair fell out in clumps in the shower. Not when I was so weak I couldn't walk to the bathroom without help. My Aunt Shanice practically moved into my apartment, sleeping on my couch, holding my head while I threw up, telling me I was going to make it. My best friend Jared organized a GoFundMe that raised $47,000 for my medical bills. My coworkers donated their sick days. But my father? Radio silence. Now at 2:47 a.m. suddenly he remembered I existed. I made him wait 3 days before responding. 3 days of that text burning a hole in my notifications. Finally, I agreed to meet at Rosewood Coffee on 5th Street. A neutral public place where I felt safe. I arrived 15 minutes early, ordering a vanilla latte I had no intention of drinking, just needing something to hold. When he walked in, I barely recognized him. Derek Davis had aged 20 years and 6. His face was gaunt with deep shadows under his eyes. His clothes, a wrinkled button-down and slacks that hung loose on his frame, screamed desperation. He'd always been so proud, so put together. The man who taught me to ride a bike, who never missed a parent-teacher conference before the divorce, was gone. Kiana, he breathed, sliding into the booth across from me. Baby girl, you look amazing. You beat it. I knew you would. The audacity nearly knocked me over. You knew I would? How would you know anything when you disappeared? His eyes darted away. I was going through things. Your mother and I, the divorce was messy and The divorce was 7 years ago, Dad. Try again. He shifted uncomfortably, fingers drumming on the table. Classic tell, he was about to lie. I thought you needed space to heal. That you were mad at me. Mad at you. My voice rose despite myself. Other customers glanced over. I lowered it to a harsh whisper. I was dying. I called you 37 times. 37. I texted you pictures from the hospital. Do you know what it's like to beg your father to care? I'm sorry. His eyes welled up. I'm so sorry, Kiana. I was a coward. But I'm here now and I need. You need something. Of course you do. Derek reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a folded stack of papers. His hands trembled as he smoothed them on the table between us. Collection notices. Final warnings. Legal threats. The amounts made my stomach drop. $89,000 to Caesar's Palace. $43,000 to a private lending company called Apex Capital Solutions. $35,000 to someone named Roderick Snake Williams. What the hell is this? I whispered, my fingers tracing the red final notice stamps. I got into some trouble. Gambling. It started small, just poker games with friends from work, but then I discovered online betting and the casinos. His voice cracked. Kiana, these people are serious. Snake's crew, they're not playing. They came to my apartment last week. They broke my ribs. He lifted his shirt slightly, revealing a massive purple bruise spreading across his left side. Despite everything, a flash of concern hit me. Then anger flooded back in. You gambled away almost $200,000? It wasn't supposed to go this far. I thought I could win it back. I had a system, a foolproof strategy. There's no such thing. I hissed, slamming my palm on the table. My latte sloshed. That's gambling addiction talking. You need rehab, not money. I need both, he said desperately. But first I need to not get killed. Snake gave me 2 weeks. That was 12 days ago. Kiana, baby, you work in tech now. You're doing well. I saw your LinkedIn. Senior software engineer at Nexus Technologies. That's a 6-figure salary. You could help me. The coffee shop suddenly felt too small, too hot. You stalked my LinkedIn? I kept tabs on you. I was proud. Proud enough to congratulate me when I got the job? Proud enough to check in during my remission anniversary? Silence hung between us, thick and suffocating. I need $167,000. Derek said it quickly, like ripping off a bandage. The total with interest and late fees. If I can pay Snake and Apex by Friday, the casino will work out a payment plan. I laughed. Actually laughed, a bitter sound that surprised us both. $167,000. You think I just have that lying around? You have savings, I know you do. You're smart with money, always have been. Remember when you were 12 and saved up for that laptop? You're a planner, Kiana. Yeah, I'm a planner. Want to know what I'm planning for? A house down payment. I've been saving for 4 years. Every bonus, every raise, living below my means in a studio apartment when I could afford better. I have $189,000 in savings. His eyes lit up and I wanted to slap him. That money represents my future, Dad. My security. After cancer, after medical debt, after clawing my way back. That money is my safety net. My proof that I survived. I'm your father. I gave you life. And then abandoned me when I almost lost it. My voice echoed through the coffee shop. People were definitely staring now. I didn't care. Where were you when I was vomiting blood? When I lost 40 pounds? When I was so weak from treatment that Aunt Shanice had to bathe me like a child? Where were you during the bone marrow biopsies, the spinal taps, the nights I prayed to die because the pain was too much? Tears streamed down his face. I was scared. I couldn't handle seeing you like that. So you made my cancer about you. The words hung there, brutal and true. I left the coffee shop without agreeing to anything, but Derek's words haunted me for days. Life or death. That bruise had been real. I'd heard stories about Snake Williams. He ran half the underground gambling scene in Detroit. People who didn't pay him up ended up in the Detroit River or worse. Absolutely not, Aunt Shanice said when I called her that evening. I'd gone straight to her house, a modest brick 2-story in Oak Park where I'd spent countless nights during treatment. She was in her kitchen making her famous peach cobbler, and the smell of cinnamon and butter normally comforted me. Tonight nothing could. He's your brother, Auntie. Would you let him die? She whirled around, wooden spoon pointed at me like a weapon. Derek made his choices. Every single one. He chose gambling over his daughter's cancer treatments. He chose casinos over calling you on your 24th birthday, your 25th, your 26th. Now he chooses to dump his consequences on you. But if something happens, then that's on him, baby. Not you. She pulled me into her arms and I breathed in her familiar scent, cocoa butter and vanilla. I watched you nearly die. I held your hand through every treatment. I saw you rebuild your entire life from nothing. You think I'm going to let that man take your future? He's scared. You were terrified and he didn't care. Her voice broke. Don't set yourself on fire to keep him warm, Kiana. Some people don't deserve saving. But as I drove home that night, his bruised ribs kept flashing through my mind. What kind of person could I be if I let my father die over money? The kind who survives, a small voice whispered. The text started the next morning. Please, Kiana. I'm begging you. They came by again. Left a dead rat on my doorstep. Your grandmother would be so disappointed in both of us right now. That last one made me see red. Grandma Rose had died when I was 19 before the cancer, and she'd been my heart. She'd also spoiled Derek rotten, always bailing him out of trouble, which probably contributed to his current mess. Then the calls started. 10-15 times a day. I blocked his number. He called from different phones, friends' phones, burner phones, the bodega on his corner. Derek left voicemails that oscillated between desperate apologies and guilt trips that could level a building. Kiana, it's me again. I know you're angry. You have every right. But family is family. Blood is blood. I made mistakes, terrible mistakes, but I'm still your father. Your only parent left since your mom passed. Are you really going to be an orphan by choice? My mother, Patricia, had died in a car accident 3 years ago. We'd grown closer after my recovery. She'd been dealing with her own guilt about the divorce and had tried to make amends. That wound was still fresh and Derek knew it. He was weaponizing my grief. By Thursday he showed up at my apartment. I saw him through the peephole, looking worse than before. His left eye was swollen shut now, a fresh injury. My hand hovered over the doorknob. Kiana, please. Just talk to me. They're going to kill me. Tomorrow is Friday. I'm out of time. I opened the door a crack, chain still on. This is harassment. This is survival. Friday morning, I woke up to 17 missed calls from a number I didn't recognize. The voicemail made my blood run cold. Miss Davis? This is Detective Jennifer Morrison with Detroit PD. We have your father, Derek Davis, at Detroit Receiving Hospital. He was assaulted last night. He's stable but requesting you come down. He says. She paused and I heard papers rustling. He says to tell you Snake doesn't make threats, he makes examples. Please call me back at this number. My hands shook so badly I dropped my phone twice before managing to call back. Detective Morrison explained that Derek had been beaten severely, broken jaw, punctured lung, multiple facial fractures. He'd been dumped in an alley behind a liquor store on 8 Mile. Someone had carved the word deadbeat into his chest. I sat in my car outside the hospital for 20 minutes, unable to go inside. The rational part of my brain screamed that this wasn't my fault, that Derek had created this situation. But guilt, that heavy, suffocating guilt, wrapped around my throat like hands. Inside he looked like something from a horror movie. Tubes everywhere, face swollen beyond recognition, breathing assisted by machines. His one visible eye found me and tears leaked out. I'm sorry, he mouthed through his wired jaw. A nurse had given me a notebook he'd written in. I never should have asked. This is my mess. But Kiana, they said they're coming back. They want their money by Sunday now or they'll finish the job. Please, I'll pay you back. I swear on Grandma Rose's grave. I looked at this broken man. My father who'd once carried me on his shoulders at the state fair, who'd taught me to swim, who'd abandoned me when I needed him most. And something inside me cracked. Not broke. Cracked. I left the hospital without promising anything, but the image of that carved word haunted me. At home, I opened my laptop, intending to research gambling addiction treatment centers. Instead, I found myself digging into my father's life. If I was going to make any decision, I needed the whole truth. What I found destroyed me. Derek Davis wasn't some tragic victim of sudden gambling addiction. I found his online betting accounts going back 8 years. 8 years. That meant he'd been gambling heavily when I was diagnosed, when I was in treatment. I cross-referenced dates with my medical records. The day of my first chemotherapy session, he'd lost $4,200 on online poker. The night I was hospitalized for sepsis and nearly died, he'd been at Motor City Casino losing another $8,000. But it got worse. So much worse. I found emails. Got the emails. He'd written to my Aunt Shanice during my treatment, asking her not to tell me he'd borrowed $15,000 from Grandma Rose right before she died. Money that was supposed to help with my medical bills. He'd gambled it away in 3 days. There were messages to my mother too, dated 6 months before her death. She'd loaned him $30,000 to get back on his feet. Another lie. More gambling. My mother had liquidated part of her retirement to help him and he'd pissed it away. My hands clenched into fists. The man I'd been losing sleep over, the father I'd been drowning in guilt for, had stolen from my dying grandmother. Had lied to my mother. Had chosen cards and dice over my life. I called Detective Morrison back. I need to know something. Who really called 911 for my father? Anonymous call from a payphone. Why? Because I think he staged this. Detective Morrison met me at a diner on Sunday morning. She was a short black woman with sharp eyes and an air of someone who'd seen every con in the book. I brought my laptop and printouts of everything I'd found. Bank statements I'd hacked from Derek's email, probably illegal, but I was past caring. Betting records, the emails. She reviewed everything silently, occasionally making notes. Finally, she looked up. Your father's been investigated before. 3 years ago, a woman named Simone Jackson filed a report claiming he'd conned her out of $50,000 with a sob story about medical bills. Said he needed money for his daughter's cancer treatment. My stomach dropped. What? She dropped the charges. He paid her back. Well, he paid back $20,000 and she gave up on the rest. But yeah, he's been using your cancer as a sympathy con for years. Morrison's expression was hard but not unkind. The assault is real. Hospital confirmed his injuries. But some things don't add up. The attack was brutal but calculated. Nothing that would cause permanent damage or be immediately fatal. And that carving? It was done with a clean blade, medical precision. Almost theatrical. You think he had someone do this to manipulate me? I think your father is a desperate man who's learned that extreme situations get results. Did you agree to give him money? I was considering it. Don't. Morrison slid a card across the table. This is Roderick Williams's lawyer. Snake's crew doesn't work like this. They don't give extensions or make examples as warnings. They just kill you. Your father's into someone, but I don't think it's who he says. I stared at the card, my entire reality shifting. So who? That's what I'm going to find out. Meanwhile, you stay away from him. Block him. Get a restraining order if needed. I drove home in a daze, everything I thought I knew dissolving like sugar in water. The truth came out Tuesday morning when a woman named Keisha Washington contacted me through LinkedIn. You don't know me, but we need to talk about Derek Davis. He's told me all about you. I'm his fiancé. Fiancé. The word echoed in my head like a gunshot. I met her at the same coffee shop where this nightmare had started. Keisha was 31. A medical assistant with kind eyes and a nervous energy that reminded me of a trapped bird. I gave him $85,000, she said without preamble, sliding her phone across the table. Screenshots of Venmo transfers, each labeled, emergency, will pay back ASAP. He told me his daughter was refusing to help pay off dangerous gambling debts. That you were cruel and heartless. That you'd abandoned him after he'd supported you through cancer. I felt like I'd been punched. He said I abandoned him? He showed me hospital pictures. Of you, I realize now. Said they were recent, that he was still paying your medical bills. I'm a single mother with a 10-year-old son. I was saving for a house too. Now. She wiped tears away angrily. He moved in with me 4 months ago. Rent-free. I've been feeding him, supporting him, believing every word. Then Detective Morrison contacted me yesterday as part of her investigation. There are more of us, aren't there? Keisha nodded miserably. Morrison found 3 other women. All of us gave him money. All of us thought we were saving him from dangerous people. Together, we've given him over $230,000 in the last 18 months. Her voice turned bitter. There's no Snake Williams. There is no life or death situation. Just a con artist who learned that sympathy and fear make people open their wallets. We sat in silence, 2 women devastated by the same man's lies. The hospital bills are fake too. I called the billing department. He paid them himself, with a check that bounced. I visited Derek in the hospital one last time. He'd been moved to a regular room, his life-threatening injuries miraculously less severe than initially reported. When I walked in, his face lit up with hope that made me sick. Kiana, baby, I knew you'd come back. I knew you wouldn't abandon me. Did you bring? Shut up. My voice was ice. I met Keisha. And Simone. And Detective Morrison showed me everything. The hope drained from his face, replaced by a trapped animal panic. I can explain. Explain how you used my cancer to con people out of money. Explain how you've been telling women I'm the heartless daughter. Explain the fake hospital bills. I stepped closer to his bed and he actually flinched. Good. You weren't beaten by loan sharks. You paid someone to rough you up just enough to traumatize me into opening my wallet. The carved word, the extensions, the desperate voicemails. All theater. You're not a gambling addict running from debts. You're a con artist who gambles away other people's money. No, the gambling is real. I have a problem. The only problem you have is that you're a narcissistic parasite who'll destroy anyone to feed your addiction. I pulled out my phone, showing him screenshots of everything I'd found. Grandma Rose's money. Mom's retirement. 8 years of betting records showing you gambling through my cancer treatments. Did you ever love me, or was I always just a potential mark? Tears rolled down his face, but they felt performative now. Everything he did was performance. I do love you. I'm sick. I need help. You needed help 6 years ago. You chose poker. Please, Kiana. Don't do this. I'm still your father. Blood matters. Family. Family. I laughed, harsh and loud. You don't get to use that word. Family shows up. Family doesn't steal from dying grandmothers. Family doesn't fake violent assaults to manipulate their cancer-surviving daughter. Detective Morrison arrested Derek 3 days later. Turns out he'd been running similar cons across 2 states. Enough for wire fraud, identity theft, and elder abuse charges for the money he'd taken from Grandma Rose. Keisha, Simone, and 4 other women pressed charges. The prosecutor estimated he could face 15 to 20 years. I didn't visit him in jail. Didn't accept his collect calls. When his public defender contacted me asking if I'd write a character reference for sentencing, I wrote one, detailing every lie, every manipulation, every moment he'd chosen himself over me. The sentencing hearing was packed. All 7 of us women sat together, strangers united by the same scars. When it was my turn to speak, I walked to the podium with my head high. Your Honor, I had stage 3 lymphoma at 23. 57% survival rate. Those odds haunt you. You wonder if you're tough enough, strong enough, worthy enough to be in the lucky percentage. My father chose not to find out. He wasn't there for my diagnosis, my treatment, my recovery. But he was there the moment he thought I had money he could take. I looked directly at Derek. He couldn't meet my eyes. I don't want revenge. I want him to face consequences for his actions. I want him to get real help for his addiction. But mostly I want him to understand that you can't abandon people in their darkest moments and then demand they light your way out of your own darkness. That's not how family works. That's not how love works. And that's not how I work anymore. The judge sentenced him to 12 years. Restitution to all victims. Mandatory addiction treatment. As they led him away, he called out, "Kiana, please. I'm sorry. I love you." I walked out without looking back. 6 months later, I closed on my house. A beautiful 3-bedroom colonial with a garden in Oak Park, 2 blocks from Aunt Shanice. My savings took a hit, legal fees, therapy costs, but I still had my down payment. My future was intact. The cancer survivors support group I joined helped more than I'd expected. Sharing my story, the abandonment, the con, the recovery, helped others who'd faced similar betrayals. My therapist, Dr. Yolanda Chen, helped me understand that setting boundaries wasn't cruelty. It was survival. Derek writes me from prison. Long letters full of apologies, promises to change, pleas for forgiveness. I don't respond. Maybe one day I will. Maybe one day I'll be ready to hear him. But not today. Not tomorrow. Maybe never. Keisha and I became friends, strangely enough. We meet for coffee monthly, comparing notes on our healing journeys. She started a blog about financial abuse and has helped dozens of women recognize manipulation tactics. Simone joined a support group for con victims. We're all rebuilding. Last week, my oncologist confirmed I'm 5 years cancer-free, officially in remission. Aunt Shanice threw me a party, inviting everyone who'd supported me through treatment. Derek sent a card from prison. I threw it away without opening it. Some people think I'm heartless. That family should forgive unconditionally. But I learned something through cancer and its aftermath. You can't save people who won't save themselves. You can't set yourself on fire to keep someone else warm. And blood relation doesn't entitle anyone to your peace, your money, or your future. I survived cancer. I survived my father. Now I'm just surviving and thriving. For me, that's not heartless. That's healing. And I've earned every bit of it. Thank you for staying with this story to the end. If this story resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and share your own stories in the comments. You're not alone.